vision to life in the Skyway area, and it means the world to me to be part of this work. Black Panther Park will be a space to honor our shared histories, to educate and uplift, to build a future rooted in justice, equity, and imagination. We are proud to center and elevate contractors of color throughout this process, building this space with the very hands and hearts of the community it is meant to serve. I could never do this alone. My deepest gratitude goes out to the Skyway community, King County, Stone Soup Gardens, our visionary landscape design team, and every supporter who has believed in this dream, and the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party. Your legacy lives on in me and in all of us. Thank you for your strength, your courage, and your boundless love for the people. This is just the beginning. All power to the people.
Thank you very much. I can't wait to see that mural in the park. We'll have another celebration of all the different murals. This is just one of, I think, 3 or 4 murals that are going to be in the park. And so there'll be another celebration sometime in September or October with all of the other murals there and the opening and the ribbon cutting of the park. So I hope to all see you there as well. A couple of things before you leave, make sure you get a commemorative card, which is a picture of the mural. And Elmer and Aaron signed the card, so make sure you get the commemorative. Now what I'd like to do is have Elmer and Aaron, you guys go first, talk about the meaning behind the mural, give us some updates on the Seattle Black Panthers, your story, why it's important. So, start here.
First, I want to thank Byron for the tremendous job he did on painting the mural. And I definitely want to talk about Naima. I've known Naima for quite a while. Her and my daughter were good friends, and she used to hang at our house. But she is a tremendous young lady. I cannot say enough about her and her determination and her will and desire. There's no doubt about it, if she was born earlier, she would have been a high-ranking member of the Black Panther Party. And I also want to thank my comrades that are here, that are still here. 1968, most of them were around in 1968. And this park and this mural is it's a beautiful tribute to the work of the Black Panther Party and to all of its fallen comrades. And I want to thank everybody that came out to participate in this event. And sorry that Naima isn't here, but her mom is here, where she got all her inspiration from. And all power to the people. All power to the people.
Stand up, sword back, and all. I'll begin also by saying all power to the people. I'm not sure if people fully understand what that means, but I think the portrait, the mural, really explains it. You talked about the fact that we need power for all people, not just Black people. Secondly, and I want to thank Nurturing Roots, Naima, who's, as Aaron said, an incredible person, and all of the Nurturing folks for putting this park together. It's a lasting, and will be a lasting tribute to the work of the Black Panther Party. Aaron mentioned our comrades over there. Aaron and I often, get the glory. We're interviewed and whatever. But it's the rank and file members of the Black Panther Party that made the Black Panther Party. It's important to understand that each one of them stepped forward to put their lives on the line. People don't understand what that meant when we say put your lives on the line, because they have this kind of big definition of what that was. but we were targets. We were targets for assassination. And we knew every time we stepped out of the office that we were at risk of assassination. And we didn't care, we weren't afraid, we were fearless. And so the rank and file represent that fearlessness. I want to make sure I give credit to the rank and file. Secondly, on the fallen comrades that I mentioned, there are two names that are not on there of the fallen comrades. I'm going to mention their names. One was Lou Jack. Lou Jack was an incredible Panther who gave his life. He was murdered in prison. One of the original members of the Black Panther Party, his name will be added to that mural. The other was a young sister that came to the organization years later, who died while we were in service, and her name was Renee Pookie Chambliss. So those two names will be added to that mural. The importance of continuing the legacy of the Black Panther Party is critical, particularly in these times when we have a lunatic trying to erase Black history. And so this park is one example, one foothold. I just saw Marcus Dupree walk in. Marcus, where are you? He and his father are producing a documentary on the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party. It's a story that's being told by members of the Black Panther Party. It's not narrated. In fact, I think every one of them over there has been interviewed. Is that correct? All y'all brothers? And there's sisters on there too. 60% of the Black Panther Party are women. We just couldn't get the sisters out this morning that are still here in Seattle. But that's another piece of the pie, of the puzzle, if you will, to make sure that our legacy is preserved. And I think the biggest project that we have right now is that we have established a legacy group, the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party Legacy Group, which for the last 2.5, 3 years has been working on the development of a interpretive center rather than a museum. Museums tend to be stationary. Interpretive center means they're interactive, they interpret a piece of history. An interpretive center and research center. And we have, in fact, already secured the demonstration site, which will be opening in September at the historic Metropole building. We're one of the anchor tenants. They were very excited, the Sandberg Foundation, very excited to have us be an anchor tenant. It's right on the corner of 2nd and Yeshua. We have the corner spot. So Black Panther logos will be right there on 2nd. Yes, the mayor's not here, that'll make him happy. He wanted us to put our interpretive center downtown, but that's just the demonstration site. Because the permanent site will be in the CD. We've been negotiating for a piece of land. I won't disclose where it is, but we've got other sites that we're looking at. We're going to build an interpretive center and research center. It's important to understand that the interpretive center will interpret a piece of history in the CD, as well as provide an opportunity for people to come in and see what it was like to live in a Black Panther office. You know, we had sandbags in our most notorious office on 20th and Spruce, and steel and plywood sandwiches on the windows. We had a door that was about a foot thick with a brace on the back of it because we were under threat of constant attack. People will be able to see and feel what that felt like when they come into the interpretive center, among other things. The other aspect of the interpretive center, and this is really a piece that my brother Aaron has really pushed hard for, is the research center. Because young people need a place where they can come and learn, meet, talk about past revolutionary movements, and we're going to feature in that interpretive center and research center not only all of the chapters of the Black Panther Party across the country and around the world. We were an international organization, in case you didn't know it, with chapters in London, New Zealand, and in Australia, and other support groups around the globe, but also of other revolutionary movements here in the state of Washington and across the country, so that people know that it's your right to stand up and fight. It's your right to demand your freedom. It's a right to make sure that we're not erasing history. And so people will be able to come and experience that, both in the interpretive aspect of the center and the research center. We're planning to put affordable housing on top. And so we have established a series of locations that people can visit as part of the Interpretive Center. I'm just gonna finish this last little piece so you know what's coming. And so when you come up the hill from the demonstration site, the first thing that you'll come to, of course, is the Carolyn Downs Family Medical Center. Carolyn's name is over there. The original name of the clinic was Sidney Miller, whose name is also over there. That's another story. You can read about it if you go into the medical center, because there's a couple of murals there that you can read and see about the history. But it's the only remaining original Black Panther clinic in the country. I think there were 19 or so of them, but ours is still operating today. So people will be able to see that aspect of history. They'll travel from there over to 20th and Spruce, despite the site that I just mentioned, where the People's Wall is still there. If you haven't seen the People's Wall, it's an extraordinary piece of art that was originally created by Dion Henderson in 1970, refurbished in 2008 by Eddie Walker. God bless Eddie, he's passed away now. But it's in the process of being restored again, and also it will be a historic landmark. It's in that process right now. So it'll be there from here to now on. And then one block back from there is the last official office of the Black Panther Party on 19th and Spruce, across the street from Rotary Boys Club. The woman in the Asian woman that owns the home wants also a recognition plaque in her yard, so that you will be able to see both of those offices. You continue on into the central part of the CD, and hopefully somewhere in there will be the permanent site. And then you go on up to Madrona, where it all happened. And our mother's home is also in the process of being considered as a historical landmark. We intend to attach it to the Interpretive Center and Research Center, so that people can, it'll be preserved into perpetuity, so that people can see where the birthplace of the Seattle Black Panther Party, those of you, if you don't remember, was the first chapter outside of the state of California and the second chapter overall. The other significance to that site is that when Chairman Bobby came and met with us in our parents' living room and dining room, there were about 30 or 40 of us in there. My mother recalls in some of the videos that you've seen of her that she stepped over, where my dad stepped over the bodies and went into the kitchen and closed the door. But it was not only the birthplace of the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party. Bobby left there from our home and went east and started setting up chapters all across the country. Des Moines, Iowa, Kansas City, Chicago, all across the country. There were some 40 chapters initially and some 60 overall. So it was the launching pad for the National Black Panther Party. So it's a very critical and important site. So we've got plans for that. Across the street in the park, of course, is where Mike Tagawa was it you, Mike, that used to run the drills for the 300 comrades, the 400 comrades, put them in military order and make sure that they knew how to march and drill. That was part of instilling discipline in those young brothers' heads. One of my brothers over there, I'm not going to call him out, said, man, it was too much discipline in the party. I couldn't stick around. He knows he's proud of his head, but I'm sorry, I called him out. But it was important that we had discipline. And then, of course, around the corner from there on 34th, in between Union and Spring Street, is the original office of the Black Panther Party, the storefront office. We had another place that we met in prior to that, but that was the first storefront office, the original office. And the brother that owns the building, Mr. Abe, who was able to secure and buy the whole property, is going to build condos, but he's going to preserve the facade of the building, so it's there for people to see throughout history. That corner of 34th and Union remarkably has a Black Panther bus stop. If you haven't seen it, you should travel up there and see the Black Panther bus stop. And it's put up by Metro, and it's there to really showcase our history, because that corner was where it all happens. One block back on Union, on 33rd and Union, is I'm sorry, my brain is working all the time. Is the fire station, which is now a library. And if you haven't traveled up there, there's a sculpture, a metal sculpture up there of a panther and a pig. You know, they're cuddling and making love now, but back in the day, that area was known as Pork Chop Hill, because the cops used to gather there, to state, to stage, how they were gonna attack us. And so that fire station had many bullet holes in it, from snipers who sniped at it. I'm not saying who did it, but, it was a source of frustration in the community. Now, right across the street is the Madrona Elementary School. Michael and I went there, did you make it there one year?
Yeah, I was there.
And you were there,
Oh,
so.
no, I never went there. I was
Okay.
in Cole.
So we, at least Michael and I went to that school. It has adopted the Black Panther Party. In fact, if you look at the sign as you're driving down the street, you'll see on the school a Black Panther. And you go inside, there's recognition of the Black Panther Party inside. Aaron just spoke up there a few weeks ago. The kids all know about the party, the teachers, and they've embraced, and as it should be. As gentrified as the CD is, they're not gonna be able to steal our legacy. So there are sites like that all around the city. In fact, on the corner of 32nd and Union, that was the hot spot. There's a big house that sits on the northwest corner, which was the first site of the Summer Liberation School. Comrade Anthony Ware's not here. He and I and a few other comrades started the first Summer Liberation School in the summer of 1969. And then, of course, the last spot up there is Madrona Presbyterian Church on 32nd and Marion, which was the site of the very first Children's Free Breakfast Program. We ended up with 5 breakfast programs across the city. After we moved out of that site, 5 additional sites, and we fed thousands of kids across the country. The contributions of the Black Panther Party are unmistakable. We ran these breakfast programs up until 1982. Thousands of kids across the country were fed. Here in Seattle, we ran until 1982. And there were some women who were up in High Point, one of our sites, that after we closed our offices, they continued to run the breakfast program up in High Point. Because we had given them a foundation, they learned how to get the food and serve the kids. They continued that for a number of years. And so, we embarrassed the federal government in providing school breakfast and lunches for the kids. They used to attack us and kill us because we were feeding these kids as part of our survival programs. We embarrassed the federal government. Many of you don't know that sickle cell anemia, which affects primarily Black people, it was the Black Panther Party that single-handedly raised the national consciousness of sickle cell anemia to the point where the National Sickle Cell Anemia Foundation was founded in 1971. And today there's a cure for sickle cell anemia. This is the impact of the Black Panther Party, and they will not erase our history. So that's the importance of this park. I can't tell you enough. Aaron and I, when Butch Armstead was murdered, named Garfield Park Armstead Park. Now, of course, the name didn't stick because we didn't go through the authorities, because we didn't care about the authorities. We will find another park to name after a comrade, but we're so excited the fact that there's the Black Panther Park now going to be established. So, we can't thank you enough. All power to the people.
And again, thank you all for coming out. Before we kind of continue the dialogue today, we wanted to provide an opportunity for, as Ellen says, the rank and file, the Black Panthers to come up and also tell their stories, give their words of reflection and inspiration, your experiences in the party, and why it was important to you, why you joined, and why you continue to move forward in time with the legacy of the Black Panther Party. So I can either come to you or you can come up. Tell me how I would like to do that. All right.
Well, I really don't know what to say, except to say that I felt really honored and privileged to be able to join the party back in 1968. My wife and I at the time were driving to the Arboretum and we saw these people with black leathers and berets marching around the Arboretum, so we had to pull to see what was going on. It was Aaron and Elmer and Bobby White and Bobby Harding, about 50, 60, 70 brothers, all in leather and berets looking really bad. And as we were watching, one of these brothers came up to me, his name was Bobby White, who was the Minister of Information, and I said, "Hey, Bobby, what's going on here?" And he said, "I'll tell you what's going on." And he started in about 16, 19, and he said, "And from that point on, this is what's been happening in this country with racism and all this bullshit." And in about 5 minutes, he ran down the history of racism in the United States for me. At the end of that, he said, you want to join up? And I said, "Hey, look here, Bobby, I don't know if you noticed something here, but, I said, look here, Bobby, I ain't black." And Bobby looked at me just as steely-eyed as he could be, and he said, "And you ain't white either." Right in that moment, he said to me all the reasons why my family was thrown into concentration camps, and that's where I was born in World War II, concentration camp. They put us in Idaho, and that was just one of the many things that happened to minority people in this country. And like I said, the people with the longest history have been all the black brothers and sisters who were brought here unknowingly. And for me to be able to join the party and hold hands with my brothers and sisters that I grew up with in the CD. After we got out of concentration camp, I should say that we were so poor, we couldn't move back to 18th and Jesper. We had to move back to the Renton Highlands Housing Project. And then when we got a little bit better, we were rich enough to move into the Rainier Vista Housing Project. And then when we got even a little bit more well off, we were able to move to 25th and King Street, right there in the middle of the CD. And growing up, we all thought that was the best thing in the world. The diversity, the camaraderie between everybody. When you grow up in a situation like that where it's so diverse, and you're a kid, you don't know what this racism and all this stuff is. And when you hear about the adults talking about down south and civil rights and stuff, it was like, what's the problem? We got no problem with we need civil rights. We don't get along here. So that was my background, but it took the mid-60s to kind of wake me up to the political reality of this country. And like I said, again, I'll always thank the Dixons. I always call the Dixons the first family of true revolution in this city, the Dixon family. So anyway, before I go on about the Dixon family, which I have a great deal of admiration for, I'm going to turn this over to one of them, right here, Michael Dixon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not going to say a lot. My name is Leonard Dawson. I used to say a lot when I was younger. I used to love to speak. I think you might remember Dr. McKinney. Dr. Louise McKinney went to my mom and said, "You know your son is out there standing up on top of a soapbox speaking and screaming and hollering and rousing people up." But now I just like to listen to Elmer and Aaron speak. They say everything for the party that needs to be said. So thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to be in the party. Thank you for allowing me to coordinate the free breakfast for school children program. It still gets me choked up. I still can't believe that I was allowed to do that. Again, but thank you, everybody.
My name's Sharif, aka Warren Myers. The reason I got into the Black Panther Party, one evening, there was an automobile accident on 33rd and Union. And my mother thought it was my stepfather So she went out there to check on him and realized it wasn't him, but the police officer told her to move on, and she didn't move quick enough, so he got her his baton and started punching her with it. So I went back to the house, we were 3 blocks off of 33rd and Union, went into the house to look for something to get help to defend myself. I couldn't find anything, we didn't even have a good butcher knife. So maybe that was a good thing, but I went back out there and got my mother. The thing was, I just hate bullies, whether they're people, whether they're gangs, whether they're countries, and that's why I joined the Black Panther Party.
First off, I'm gonna give honor to God who's the head of my life. I'm something like, Saul, and turned into Paul. Back in the day, first of all, Aaron and Elmer, they have did an excellent job. Let's give them a hand. Stokey Carmichael came here in, if you guys remember, in '67. And that's what fired up this black community. But I always have been fired up. Because one thing I had found out, and I never will forget, I was at Franklin, and they thought Garfield was militant, but no, it was at Franklin. But teacher told me, said, I don't care what or how good you get treated, you still a slave. And that stuck in my mind. And I got my cousin and I right here or something. We tried to organize right then as black people that, hey, look, as Jesse Jackson said, we are somebody. And I went, when I was 17, I think I was 17 or 16, I walked with my head up because I wasn't gonna let the white man tell me, or I can't read and write. Yes, I could fill out an application. And we had the first sit-in in high school in 1966 of April. This was before any college or whatever. That's when we had Aaron and Elmer and Larry Gossett, Carl Miller, and all the players at UW came over there and helped us. And I don't know if I want to go off into that because this is about the Black Panther Party. But I do want to say this. From that, in 1968, we was part of, I think it was about 12 of us, went down to San Francisco State College. That's where they was putting the Black Panther Party together. And Bobby Hutton got killed. I never will forget that, in 1968, for nothing. And every student came out with his clothes off, so they couldn't say they killed him. I did not think I was going to live past 20.
Yeah.
Now I'm 75. Praise God. All right. You know, come on, good God. So what I'm saying is, and I'm going to sit down because you know I'm a preacher. I ain't never seen a mic out in life, but anyway. I'm going to be honest about the situation. Is that all we wanted was an opportunity. That's it. Thank you.
My name is Thomas Phillips. I am a job in the Panther Party. And with me, it was like when we went to San Francisco and went to Bobby Hutton's funeral and seeing all the Panthers lined up outside the church with the berets, the guns. It was an inspiration to us to come back and do something like that. And it shows that we, in the Central District, we black people were a community. We were a community. We didn't have black on black crime like we do now, young people killing one another. We didn't do that. And so it hurts me to my heart to see that when it got to the point where we said that we want to be equal, that we had the opportunity to move up to the east side and forgot where we came from. But we didn't have that. We were losing what we had here in this community. So thank God for the Panther Party keeping us together, amen? Let us together, we have a cause, and help us fight for unity, fight for equality for everybody. Thank God for you two, for being an inspiration for this community.
And mention the thing that we had to pass a test to be in the Panther. Remember that? It had no dumb
Hi. I want to say a few words. First, to
brothers, they, basically put a fire in us. And it struck me when I was 15. I must admit that many of the things that we did, I just went because of them. I didn't have the military or political sophistication at that time. I just had faith. A mention was made about God. I want you to know that God was always with us. God was with us, our families from the old country in Mississippi to Chicago were praying for us. We faced death various times, and we watched some of our comrades die in the meantime. But I want to say that that same struggle, it was desperate, but it was sure. That same struggle exists today. That's why we're here. We should not get tired. We should not rest on our laurels, because we have a generation that came up after us and one that's coming up now. They need us. And they don't need us in soft form. They need us in the true form. And it's for our responsibility to make sure that they get the truth. Amen. Because the truth will set all of us free. We know that some of us are going to fall before this time comes, but the time is coming. God is with us. All right. And God is our color, by the way. Mm-hmm. All right. So we just forgot it. But guess what? We're back. So I'm going to leave you with this, is that the next incarnation of the Black Panther Party is not going to be different. It's just going to be more complete. And it's coming. And we need to understand that it's coming and get ourselves prepared, even if we're old, even if we're not so old. But we need to understand that God is coming. We're going to be with God when He comes. And nothing's going to change, because God is not coming back peaceful and weak. Don't fool yourselves. So we have a place in this. They paved the way. We have to finish it. Yes. Thank you.
My name is James Redmond, and I became a member of the Panther Party in 1970 or 69, one of the two. Whenever I returned from Vietnam, I can't remember, 69, okay. But in Nam, if they thought that you were anti-government or anything, they liked to shoot you. And of course, it was always by accident. You were a friendly kill, maybe? I don't know what they call it. But when I was over there, I was attacked many times. And a couple of times, they could have gotten me. But each time, my father was with me, and he protected me. All right. You know, when I came home, I found that my family was very much involved with the Black Panther Party. The only thing I heard about the Panther Party in 67, 68, and even part of 69, was that it was a party that sought to overthrow the government, and therefore J. Edgar Hoover called us the number one enemy. Okay, and a lot of our parents, I can't say mine because my father was killed in 1953 because we were of a certain color. But my mother, she was a strong person. She liked Aaron and Elmer very much. I think my sister Sherry was engaged to Elmer at the time, and they wanted me to come to Seattle and tear that relationship apart. I'm saying they, the government, they honestly took me to take and eliminate that relationship, even if it meant to kill. But my first day back in country, the very first people I met was Aaron and Elmer and my sister Sherry and my sister Joyce and my sister Mary, and all at my mother's house. They came to talk to me because they heard that I was kind of like a violent person. And they wanted to talk to me about that and see what I stood for. I stood for blackness. You know, I wanted us to have the same rights as anybody else did. I felt that if they're gonna shoot at me in war, I'm gonna shoot at you too. That was gonna give me at least 18 years in prison, but I didn't care. I guess I was hard-headed, which I was. I have to admit that. But the Panther Party talked to me. It was Elmer, Aaron, Anthony, Michael Dean, and my sisters. I don't know who else was there, but I listened to what they had to say. And they wanted the same thing for our people as I wanted for our people. So we had common ground. And that was when I decided I was going to be at least associate with the Panther Party. Because I was still in the military, and that meant, you know, treason is what they would call it, which was punishable by death. But I felt that I was already in a situation where I could be killed for something I didn't believe in. I did not believe in us going from this country to Vietnam to take over that country. You know, and they were never any of the people that called me nigger, so I didn't have any faults with them. I love the Asian people, period. I am African American and American Indian. All of my family came off reservations in North and South Carolina. And when they got here in the 1890s, they could not buy property. They had to live on the reservation. My grandfather changed that when he went into the military and was some kind of hero, and they allowed him to buy property. And so all of us were born or raised free, from Yesler Terrace to 23rd and Spring. My family went to Garfield High School, Cleveland High School, Horace Mann, Ladrona, Harrison. We went everywhere, but there were so many of us. You couldn't get us all in one school anyway. It was wonderful. And I've been a member of the Panther Party ever since. There's times I've been upset, there's times I've been angry. But I've always looked at the Panther Party as an inspiration. Let my family know, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren know that they are black regardless of my complexion. We are blacks. And I thank you very much. Thank you, Elmer, Aaron, take care, Michael, and the rest of us.
Mark Cook, and then Mike to Mark Cook.
Comrade. Okay, I'm Mark Cook, and I started the second Panther Party outside of Seattle, or Oakland, outside of Oakland, Bobby Shield, and you even allowed me to start the Panther Party inside the Washington State Penitentiary. It was, as far as I know, the first and only Panther Party started in a penitentiary. They came to Seattle, there was some guy, when they did the sickle cell anemia program, they came to Walla Walla, and we tested everybody in the penitentiary, first time it was ever done. Dr. Green, I think his name was, who brought the test down there. My comrade, Thunder Lance, was the one who wanted to start the party, and we made a discussion how we were going about do it and set up our organization. To be the captain of the Panther Party, we flipped the coin. He became the captain, I became the lieutenant. But he died in penitentiary early, and I supposedly became the captain, I don't know. But I was born in Seattle, just about 2 blocks away from the original Panther Party on Spruce. I was born on 60th and Spruce. family of, 9, 10. My father died early. My mother became, homeless. My mother was 9 kids, 8 kids to take care of in Seattle. And we would spot in the CD, getting help from neighbors, family, Bellevue, North Seattle, South Park. But she was a wonderful woman. She was the greatest woman I've seen in my lifetime. She was a mother. She kept us all together. When I got out of the penitentiary, I only stayed in the penitentiary about 3 years after starting the Panther Party. It took me in a halfway house. I think they did to get rid of me because I had a maximum of 15 years to do it. They didn't let me do it. When I came to Seattle, as soon as I came to Seattle, I started looking for the Panther Party, but they were gone. They were in Oakland, being bodyguards for Elaine Brown, I believe it was at the time. And so I decided I had to get something going. I started a prison movement in Seattle, and that's what I'm known for now. And I still have some people looking up to me. They give me a little stash and call me the elder revolutionary here in Seattle. Anyway, that's about it. It's a big story, a long story to tell, and I hope we get some time to tell it. But I give all my greetings to the Panther Party, Seattle Black Panther Party, who inspired us to start a party in the penitentiary and able to carry it as far as we did. We started another, without permission, a Panther chapter, Black Panther chapter in Monroe Penitentiary. And these were youngsters at that time. They tried to start a Panther Party, but they were afraid of being punished by the penitentiary for starting one. So they created what we call BBC, which is Black Prisoner Caucus, that exists to this day. And there's hundreds of them all over, all the penitentiaries now, accepted by the penitentiary. It's a very positive program, and that's one of the legacies of the Panther Party that still exists to this day. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your stories and your experiences and why you joined the party. Many of us had an opportunity to hear your stories, and hopefully, again, we'll have an opportunity in September and October in a more formal process when all the murals will be at the King County Seattle Black Panthers Community Garden and Park in Skyway. So this is just the sort of the beginning of the project from the Washington State Department of Commerce. And I want to thank all of you for coming out today from the Black Panthers to speak. We wanted to spend the last couple of minutes for those of you that's on the program, if you have some reflections, people in the community to talk about what the Seattle Black Panthers meant to you, how it may impacted yourself and your families. We'll start that shortly, and then we'll have, of course, some additional entertainment. Wanted to let you know there is food out there. Please feel welcome to go out and refresh yourself with beverages as well as nourishment for the food as well. But I'd love to have some folks from the community come up and talk about their experiences with the Seattle Black Panthers and how they may have impacted their family. I know I received some of those messages from you via the website, and I think it's also very important for people to hear those stories. I've already shared mine with you, but there may be others as well. So feel free to come up. You've got about 1 minute. One additional comment we do want to make is there's an opportunity for those of you who are here to purchase Black Panther. Elmer Dixon's book is here. There's also some t-shirts as well as some other clothing that is also here, so feel free to do that. Myron Curry, he also has some of his designs. That is back there as well. And for those of you who are interested in a pathway to home ownership, there's the Healthy Smart Homes table outside. As you know, Washington State Department of Commerce is providing 20% down payment assistance plus closing costs to Black and brown people who are impacted by the restrictive racial covenants and fair housing discrimination. There'll be more of those funds coming in the fall as well, on top of the 20% down payment assistance. But you have an opportunity to sign up for that and hear more about the program and how it's affected people's lives within the state of Washington. So please give your name and you've got a minute to talk about the program. All right.
Watch your step. I've known them here for a long time. Again, my sister, tell the truth, that we came here from Arkansas, going on a break, we came together in 1952. So I'm an old brother. My inspiration came as I got a scholarship to go to Western Washington University. There are 16 of us up at Western Bellingham, surrounded by a lot of people. So we decided BSU formed one. Who do we need to call to come up here and give us not only some recognition, but some support? Without a doubt, it was the Black Panther Party. They came up there, scared the shit out of the community. From that point on, through graduate school, they set a foundation for us. For me to become a teacher, became a college teacher. I retired after 43 years. So thank you guys.
And I just want to add a little bit to my brother Alan. My mom, of course, came in 1957, but the Alzheimer family actually arrived here in the late 30s, so we're part of the original legacy of the roots in the area. It's the Alzheimer. Many of you from Tacoma probably recognize the Westbrooks, as well as the Alzheimers, as well as the Kinlows and the Sims and the Cromartins. That is the legacy that we've had in this community since 1937 and 1938. It's through our family. So, anyone else?
Bless you for your work, Tracy. My name is T.C. Armin, and I would be remiss if I didn't come forward and just share a reflection from the perspective of a child with regard to the Black Panthers and the movement. I was born in Texas in the midst of the civil rights era in the 60s, so I'm well acquainted with racism from that experience. After my parents divorced, my mother moved us to Oakland, California. This was in '69. And as a boy, I recall I would see a lot on the news, but my first experience, real hand-to-hand experience, as my mother and my aunt were involved in the Black Panther movement, the breakfast program, Operation Breadbasket, and they began to have meetings at our house. I was in 5th or 6th grade, and so my perspective was this. I recall Bobby Seale and Elaine Brown specifically being in our home and 30 and 40 people being in your house. There would be a lot of dishes because food would be served. And because I was the oldest, I would always be on KP. And I would have to clean all those dishes. So I didn't like very much when the Black Panthers came to our house. From the perspective of a child, however, that is my connection. And I was pleased to be reconnected with Bobby Seale here in Seattle as an adult and to reflect and to have opportunity to talk about those times as a boy in Oakland, California. So I appreciate your work, and I consider myself an honorary member at this point. But I just needed to share that reflection.
Hey, I'm Keelan Taylor. I like to go as Coach G in the community for the youth. My relationship and experience with the Black Panther, I feel like I was born inspired, and then when I met them at the Skyway Library talking about the park, when nurturing roots and growing the park, I felt like it perfectly represents what we've done at Nurturing Roots, going to Seattle Public Schools, going to all the different kids and recognizing like what you guys said, it's like not just Black people, but humanity in general. And I feel like that means a lot to me. So the Black Panther has inspired me to keep doing what I've already been doing and just continue to nurture our roots. But that's all I have to say.
I would just like to share a reflection on what the Black Panther Party meant to me. I'm 13 years old, there's 6 of us, and we went to a restaurant downtown on 3rd Avenue, right where the main bus stop was, on Pike or Pine Street. It was called the Burger Basket. And we were at a circus event that Boeing put on every year. After that, we went to have burgers. at the Burger Basket. There were 6 of us. When we got there and we ordered, two of them were my little brothers. So we bought one burger basket for them to share. During the time we were ordering, we were told that, well, you can't have that. You have to all order separately or you have to get out. They said that there was another gentleman there, a white gentleman there, and I said, well, he has a cup of coffee and a donut. He didn't have to order a burger basket. And they said, well, he's related to us. So why don't you niggers get out? We're calling the police. So I thought, I was always a little militant. I thought that, well, if they're calling their police, I'm gonna call our police.
There you go. That's it.
So I went to the phone booth that was right there on the corner, and I called the Black Panther office. Elmer and Aaron showed up, and 2 other of their comrades, as they called them. And they made them serve us. They made them respect us. We sat down and had our meals and our Cokes, and we said, we don't want anything now. And they said, well, get something. Give them all a Coca-Cola. So we sat there, we had our Coca-Colas. They talked to us and said, if you need anything else, you call us and we'll come. And that set me on my road to demonstrating and having sit-ins. I pulled the fire alarm at our school because they wouldn't let us watch a movie. And they locked everybody down in the classrooms. But I pulled the fire alarm, so I had to let us all out. And we sat on the curb at Minion Junior High School and had a protest of our own. I thank them for setting me on the road, so I realized that there was a movement going on, and I wasn't part of it, because in Seattle, Washington, we all lived together. I had no idea what civil rights was about. I thank you for letting me realize my power. Appreciate it. Oh, and we had the restaurant shut down for 2 months behind the Black Panther.
All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Smokey Williamson. My recollection in my earliest days, I wasn't born yet, but that iconic photo that you see everywhere, even on the Tupac Dear Mama video, I know because they probably owe us royalties. My father, Clark Benjamin Williamson, was the man standing to Aaron Dixon's right side in the beige coat from Alabama. My grandma moved up here in the 50s. My grandfather was in World War II. I've pretty much been militant myself, militant-minded, militant heart. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. So when I met this gentleman the other day at the event, I was vending. My business is thehomeskillet.com. I do our food and a lot of different cuisines, but I got the pleasure of meeting Elmer. Been wanting to meet these people my whole life. I turned 50 in October, so there we go. God's good. So I believe I met Aaron before. He probably doesn't remember because it was quick, real fast. But yeah, my dad was there. He was ready to die. He was right there. So I'm here because God put me here to represent Clark Benjamin Williamson, my grandmother Beatrice Williamson, and all the Black Panthers and everybody who stands up for anything and everything that we need. I have a feeding program myself. It's called Feed the Streets Seattle. I paid out my own dollars, my own pocket. I do everything on my own, make my own flyers. I do everything with the help of God.
All right.
Only to provide for my community. And if I have to keep doing it by myself, I will. But today I'm here with the Black Panthers. I'm here with y'all. The guy taking that video took videos for me. while ago, we're talking about early 2000s, so I know that man behind the camera for 25 years. I'm from Rainier Vista, Columbia City. And so, this is my hood. We've been here, we're gonna stay here, and we're gonna stay black, so more power to the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andre A. Anderson. I'm a former NFL member of the Los Angeles Rams, New York Jets, and Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna take my experience with the Black Panthers in LA. I had the privilege of meeting Huey Newton and Angela Davis, and they were like the founders of it at that time. And the funny part about it, there was a lot of problems going on in LA, especially right before the games happened with the Crips and the Bloods. And had the organizations, which is, we're talking about the federal government, had they not stepped in and tried to put the Black Panthers out of business, there wouldn't have been no gang battles with the Crips and the Bloods. So look at all the lives lost behind, hatred, because of black people trying to stand up for their rights. Then when I went to Washington, D.C. and New York City, my fiance, she died, she had breast cancer, but she used to represent Rosa Parks and, right there with Jesse Jackson, those guys back in the day, and also Betty Shabazz, which is, you know who that is, Malcolm X's, widow. And the great Rosa Parks, in meeting her, that was an honor to meet a lady to be this small, and she had more willpower and stand up to the government and anybody else I've ever seen. She had courage. And look at what we have today, with all the black people that we have, especially our younger black people. They got to have courage because they turn into drugs, they turn into gang violence, they turn into anything negative. But the main thing they need to turn to, first of all, is God. That's number one. Number two, they got to know something within themselves, or they got to know what they want to be. And not only that, you have to educate your passion in life. Because you don't do that, then you're really nothing, you know that. And the thing I just came up here to say is that we as black people, we have so much to be proud of where we came, from in America to where we are now. But guess what? The road doesn't stop there. We have to keep moving forward because they want us to stop. They want us to give up. They want us to throw our hands up and just quit. And guess what? Being an athlete, you can't even spell quit. I mean, but same thing as human beings, we got to come together. We have to stick together though as one, because we one force. And I even boxed Golden Gloves before. And the thing is, you can't knock a man out with just a finger, but it takes a whole fist, bam, put the impact in there. His blood is a lot about it if you're gonna be a fighter. Same way it goes in this here society. We got to fight and be there for one another though. Because guess what? If we not for each other, nobody else will be. All right, I just wanted to say that I love and care for our race and for our humanity. Thank you very much.
He was a hell of a football player. Okay, Bill, I appreciate it, Bill.
We have one last speaker, Kenny Johnson, and then we've got music, and we've got, in addition, food and beverages. And I want to thank all of you for coming out. Part of the, I think part of the community healing is hearing each other's stories, telling each other's stories. So people that know that they have a lot in common and between each other. And so I want to thank you for sharing your stories today, because I think the community needed to hear them. They needed to hear how important the Seattle Black Panther movement and the movement across the nation and the lives that it impacted. And I don't think that we should ever stop telling those stories, because through those stories, it continues the legacy as we continue to move on. So I want to have, Brother Kenny, the last reflection, and we'll have music as well as continue.
Thank you, Sister Tracy. It's a blessing to be here. I'm Tracy's preacher. And I do believe that Jesus would have been a Black Panther. A lot of people think that they think he's soft, but he came about radical change. And injustice is standing up against that.
Yes, sir.
So I'm really thankful to be here. My reflection on Black Panthers growing up in South Central Los Angeles is that a single mom, like my mother, was able to benefit from programs. And me and my sister were able to benefit from food and the programs and the things of that nature. And I've never been afraid of other Black people. And one of the things that we have to remember is that, yes, there's a militant stance. By the way, Jesus says the kingdom will come with violence, and the violent shall take it by force. One of the things that you have to understand about standing up against injustices and community is that it takes all of the people within the community to come together. And the enemy is all about dividing and conquering. And so when my mother received the food from the community, I could care less if Huey Newton had a spear in one hand and a rifle in the other, because he was part of a movement that put food in my stomach. And I don't know if you know, but those of us who have come up to something today, we need to never forget where we came from. And you need to always look back at that helping hand that helped you. And I could care less if it was black, yellow, brown, or whatever. Someone who is willing to help is always someone that I'm willing to honor. So thank God for your service to your community. And we benefited from it, and the whole world has, as it was mentioned, an international organization. So I'm looking forward to the next chapter. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Elder Aaron, do you want to make any final thoughts, or are we ready to go continue to celebrate with music and continue to celebrate with food and beverage? Okay, we're ready. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of the meeting.
Somebody